genre.
Welcome back to The Doctor's Companion. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Cass Fredrickson.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing Empire of Death, the 8th episode and finale of Series 14/Season 1. Empire of Death, written by Russell T. Davies, directed by Jamie Donahue, just like last week. Yeah, part 2 of this this whole like suit tech thing.
It's a fun little journey going on, yeah.
Yeah, the whole suit tech thing. So yeah. I've seen some interesting reactions to this since watching it. And I know that you guys tend to watch these like right before we record, so that's why I've been sort of like watching it as soon as they drop. So that like We've got you guys like having like immediate feelings, and then I've had like time to like brew over it for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And go back on and go online and read reactions and tweets.
Yeah, and theories and stuff like that. So dying to know what you guys thought of this finale.
Dying to know.
Yeah. Or living if I pull out a reverse Uno card.
That was great. I think it was Joel on the Discord who did that.
Yes, I think so. Nick, we'll start with you. Thoughts on, I guess, just this episode. We'll get into overall thoughts on this on the season later on, but just this episode. What are your thoughts?
Had a rollicking good time. It was a very entertaining blockbuster kind of, not blockbuster, but like a really fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about it. But like, yeah, having just finished it a few minutes ago, I did kind of scroll through our own Discord, and I'm now back on Twitter, and I'm kind of looking at like fun reactions. Like you said, yeah, that kind of a mixed to warmish reaction. People seem to be underwhelmed by some aspects. I think, to a certain extent, I guess that's valid. But to focus on this episode, yeah, really fun, really entertaining. Standout moments for pretty much our 3 leads. I would count Mel as a lead in this almost for how.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Which is cool, which is really fun. And I just want to say, I don't know, I can't believe I think we bring up this show more than any other Doctor Who podcast, but to compare this to something like the Battle of Ranskor Avkolos, which was 13's first finale. This was pretty damn fun.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think the problem with that episode was that it should have been a two-parter, because it's like, I don't know.
Paradoxically, it should have been longer.
Yeah, I mean, but it was, if I remember correctly, it was just like, man, there's a lot of shit stuffed in this bag. It's like one of those episodes.
Yep. Yeah.
Cass, what have been your initial thoughts on the finale?
I think I'm lukewarm on this episode. There were a lot. I did like. I don't think that I would describe it as like a blockbuster, because it felt like really sparse. Like once the plot happened, like, and it was just like the Doctor and Ruby and Mel for most of it. And I liked that aspect of it. It felt more like intimate, in a way that like the finales, especially like RTD finales, like usually are like big, like everything, like throwing everything at the wall,
with like it's like Les Miserables with like subplots and stuff.
Yeah. So I liked that aspect of it, but and I think it stuck the landing emotionally, but I think in regards to like the plot of the episode, I like was having trouble with that aspect. So it's kind of like a mixed bag for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah. So my feeling, it's so funny. My feeling is that as it was very comfy watching this episode, because it was like, oh yeah, typical Russell T Davies finale. Okay. Like it just felt, I like let that wash over me, and that was really nice.
Yeah.
Of just like, yeah, like impossible odds solved with an idea. Just a simple, like, oh no, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this one. Oh wait, and then the whole thing is solved,
Right.
and it was just like a real, and it was like this grand scale of like this like planet wide, and you're just seeing all these people react to this huge thing. I was like, yeah, we haven't had that really since the Russell T Davies era. Of seeing just like normal people being like, what the fuck is that? Because Moffat's finales were all so like timey-wimey and like kind of insular to like the Doctor's perspective, and
the sort of disaster movie-esque kind of,
right. Yeah, that's very much Russell T's style.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated being back in that mode. And I think that there were definitely some emotional beats that landed well, but if you think about them for more than like 5 seconds, you're like, that doesn't actually make any sense, guys. Like I appreciate that you really didn't like what they did in Rise of Skywalker. I totally appreciate that, but also like bringing that here doesn't make any sense, and it really feels like that wasn't always the plan. Even though it feels emotionally correct, it doesn't match what we've been dealing with this whole season. So yeah, it's a mixed bag for me.
I agree that watching it, as much fun as I was having, and I kind of put an emphasis on like it was a rollicking good time.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to talk to both of you guys about it, because it's like I have a feeling once we talk about this, a lot of it won't hold up to scrutiny. But
yeah,
I'm really excited to talk about the ending, because it brought to my mind a lot of the conversations we've had about RTD's kind of philosophy and just his whole deal throughout his multiple tenures on the show.
Yeah, because it's definitely, it is a thematic. When you look at his time on Doctor Who and the whole thing of like, everybody's important, every person is important. And,
Jackie Tyler,
right. Every single person is important, and the Doctor thinks that everyone's important, and the most important people are the most normal people, and that you don't have to be
not just cool, sexy people are important.
Right, and that's great. And thematically, like that's really great, but like that doesn't explain the snow. Like like it just doesn't. Like you can you can say like, well, we made her really important. I was like, yeah, and if I wish really hard, you know what happens? Nothing. So like fuck off. My
headcanon with the snow is that every time the snow thing, that was Sutek pausing and being like, wait, okay, wait. Let me zoom in. Wait, hold on. God, I can't fucking. Never mind.
I can't figure this out. All right,
unpause.
Yeah, and I will say I feel immensely underwhelmed with the Sutek of it all. I think that like the stakes were raised really well, but it happened so fast and then wrapped up so easily.
Yeah,
that I was like, okay, like it was the stakes were raised to such an impossible degree, and then immediately just like cut the legs out from under it and was like, oh, actually, all we have to do is this, and everything's fixed. And I was like, okay, I guess, I don't know. I almost wish the Sutek reveal had happened in like the cold open of the first part, so that we'd had more time to like deal with his shit for a little bit, like the way we do with the Master.
I was just thinking like, that how that feels like an epic. By the time you get
exactly.
To the
that's what this compares in my mind to, almost 1-to-1 is the Master stuff, which we've talked about before. And I'm like, yeah, if Sutek had shown up like at the end of the penultimate episode, or the the third to last episode,
Yeah.
or the very beginning of the second to of last week's episode, and we have more time with him. But like spending all that time building up to the reveal at the very tail end of last week's episode, and then coming here, and you're like, yeah, so he killed everybody, and then everybody in the universe, all of time and space, and then we just undid it, and and then everything's okay. And I was like, okay, I guess. Like, like I wish there was like time to like luxuriate in like his joy of the death.
Yeah.
Of like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted. Like, I want to like feel like I kind of understand why he feels that way. And I never really, they're just like, well, he's a god of death, so he likes death. I was like, well, okay, I guess
like
that's
Scar
true.
on Pride Rock.
Right. Yeah. Like, I just want to get his vibe a little bit more. I don't know. So yeah, it's a mixed bag for me. It just feels like it took too long to get to the point last week. And then this episode felt rushed as a result, because not only did it feel rushed because we didn't have enough time with Sutek, but it's also like we go through the whole Sutek stuff, and then it's like we need 15 minutes to also deal with the Ruby mom stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like we really only got like 2/3 of a Sutek episode here.
Yeah, there were like 15 minutes left in the episode once Sutek was vanquished.
Right. And it's just like, well, that doesn't make him seem like that much of a threat. And it felt like they had to raise the stakes so high to prove that he was a threat and that he was worthy of this finale, but then
in a pretty humdinger of an idea. I mean, the fact that it's like, no, every single time you got out of the TARDIS, Sutek now has access to that point in time and can blow his death dust. And so every time, every planet is fucked because you were there. Eat shit. Courtesy of 1975, and then you're like, how's he gonna get out of that? But then
and see, that's the thing, is like, to me, I feel like that should have been the part one ending of like,
that's good,
of like him screaming as the lights in the galaxy turn out, the lights in the universe turn out. Cut to be continued. You're like, oh, fuck, is he gonna get out of the lights?
Yeah.
And then you start here, and it's just the three of them in the memory TARDIS being like, I don't know how we're gonna get out of this, and it's just that vibe the whole time, Or you start with that scene with the lady in the tent.
Yeah, you get like cool badass like Mad Max doctor.
Yeah,
and it's like, I need some water, and you're like, oh fuck, like we're here already. Like, this is how long have you been doing this?
I think ending on the Sutek reveal last week was a huge mistake. I really do. Just pacing wise.
You know what's funny is when I was watching this, I was like, oh, it's like the Flux, right? Like the entire universe got like erased or whatever. And like, to Chibnall's credit, I feel like he did that better than this episode, because we really only like sit with the horror of that for like 10 minutes.
Right.
Sure. Whereas that was Flux.
Yeah.
Was to Chibnall's credit. I like the sound of that.
To Chibnall's credit.
So do we want to do a walkthrough? Because I did find this opening to be pretty fun. I think it did Tom Cruise Mummy better than Tom Cruise Mummy.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. The whole time. That's so funny.
With Mel Scooter and being like, get in! And then like, we're not fucking dead yet! It's like,
Yeah. No, I loved all that. I loved the death sand. Like, that was what was cool, because you're right, it is better, because in the Tom Cruise movie, the sand is just sand. It's
sand,
not like death
Cass.
sand.
You're just like,
yeah. Oh man,
my arms are all cut up now.
I gotta take a shower. But this is like like you get hit by it and you're just eliminated just from
That's
time
so
and
funny.
space. So
unfortunately, for and this is just my brand. This is maybe my Doctor Who brand. But as soon as Kate died, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
I was like, no way are they killing her. They can't do that.
No, especially, and the thing is, like, I would forgive that, again, if this was the build up to the part one ending. part one cliffhanger. It's more forgivable. But the fact that they all die and come back in the same episode sucks. Like, it's just, like, it's lame. I don't know.
It sucks for a finale.
Yeah, right.
So, but before that, though, we do have to talk about Unit going into attack mode. The robot killed immediately without a second thought.
Yeah.
Morris. So I guess Kate or Unit equipped his Segway
with lasers or something.
I thought it was a gun. I thought it was
think
a
it's
machine gun.
Yeah,
with human bullets.
Yeah, he's got like a Gatling gun on his Segway.
I did like that. Good for him.
Metal.
Let's arm the 13-year-old.
Yes. I think one of my favorite frame or shot of this whole episode is like while they're all doing that, just like emptying everything like a Resident Evil movie in the corner. You just see Rose like standing there, like I'm not doing all that.
Yeah. I said when I came in here, I'm anti-gun,
like, no.
and I
She's
mean
like
it.
just holding her little clipboard.
Yeah, I still mean it.
Good for you guys.
That's good. Yeah. So I did like all of that. Like the build up to that was good. I just wish it was at the end of the first part.
Mm-hmm.
The memory TARDIS, I like it's a neat concept, but I'm really having trouble wrapping my brain around how this thing exists. Do one of you guys have a better like handling on what the hell this thing is?
I think it's like a carryover from like the concept that was introduced last week with the time window where like memory strengthens the power of it. So like the fact that it exists here is like, I don't know. It's like pulling from like different and I like that like it seems to pull from like his memory and then like Mel's here too, and she also traveled in the TARDIS. So I think it's just like pulling from specific corners of their memory to like make a physical thing.
Yeah.
I was far too distracted by the production design and the Easter eggs to even contemplate like the logistics of what was happening.
I like the little crystal like the little mini crystal console.
Yeah, it's a little campfire console.
Yeah, the little campfire console. Yeah, I loved that.
Definitely was I got a little choked up when Mel noticed Six's jacket.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of hugged the sleeve.
And then she was sleeping on Seven's sweater too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the drawer full of Sonics.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, no, I liked the concept of the memory TARDIS, like the execution of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think
the look
I
of
think,
it,
yeah, the look of it. I think my problem with like what you were saying, Cass, is just like if that's all well and good, but like last week, all we saw was for the use of it was just them using like CCTV footage,
right? Yeah,
projected into like a 3-dimensional space. And so it's hard to, I guess, like connect that with like what you're saying about memory and stuff.
Yeah, because it shows up
like,
in the tape, right? So then they're using that, and then like with the three of them, like, they construct it. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's able
to be fair, I got confused, and he opened the door, and I was like, "Oh my god, is that Rogue ship?" And then Norman was like, "No, it's a TARDIS." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then like they explained it.
Norman was just locked in.
Yeah.
Don't start. There's something really beautiful about. So we get the temporal rope or the molecular rope, and it's like the molecular glove, and it's just a bungee cord, and the glove is just the glove. And I find something very cool about that because it reminds me a lot of Children at Play, where you kind of just use whatever you use. And I like RTD's vision of like, it's not something that you'd have to go to the store and buy to like be the doctor. It's just kids playing with stuff they find in their parents' drawers. And it's like, it's a molecular rope and we have to cling to it. And so it was true to the spirit of the show for me.
Definitely. I do like that. But so then they're riding around there for a while. Turns out Mel's got a little bit of Sutek in her.
We all do, it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the whole like bringing back 73 yards in like
Oh man, that I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb, but that got me. I was like, oh,
yeah.
that's cool. The perception filter. That's what it was.
Yeah, the perception filter. That was like it was interesting. I'm just like I was just trying to like it was enough that it was like, see, that wasn't a pointless episode. Like it's like I think it's like what's going on, but also like we didn't think it was. But from a character standpoint.
Right.
But
And then that guy came back too.
Right. And a lot of people are really confused by that because they seem to think I don't know, like I was reading a lot of people who are like, well, wait a minute, because like she defeated him, so like wouldn't he not be around anymore? And it's and they don't seem to understand that like
That's
that was one timeline, not this timeline.
Yeah.
They seem to be very confused by that. There's like I'm seeing a lot of people very confused by that. They think that she like stopped his reign from ever happening in 73 yards. I think because they're trying to put import on that story, you know, like purpose on it, on a story that they think is filler, you know.
I actually I like that she only remembers that in the memory TARDIS. And it's like that TARDIS is like taking from memories that she doesn't even know she has.
Right.
You know? So I like that like she's able to remember it, but she doesn't know how in that environment.
Right. Yeah. I do like that. But yeah, I did like the explanation of the 73 yards and the significance of that. I thought that was pretty cool. The perception filter and all of that. I thought
it had a Bells of St. John vibe of like a thing hiding in plain sight that you've never really thought about before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Good scene with that actor as the mom did a good job as the, you know, as like a one scene kind of nameless character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like how 15 has pretty privilege.
That's true.
I'll give you my last possession because you just have such a pretty face.
And he's like, "Oh, thank you.
Oh,
All
thank
right,
you.
see you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Your baby's dead. Bye.
Your baby's dead. Bye." And then the idea that this death wave is killing memory as well, and you know,
because it's killing memory. I think because you are, as it's eliminating people through time and space, those events are no longer happening, and so therefore they're being deleted from your memory because they never existed. So it's like this weird
because
like,
it's
butterfly
tied
effect
because he's tied to the TARDIS, or
I think so. Right. Yeah. Yeah, because that's what they said, right? Is like like people aren't just dying once. They're dying
like
over and over and over and over again in every like period and time and space they ever existed. He's like killing them over and over and over again.
I thought it was funny that we were just talking about the Ood last week, and then we get a shout out to the Ood sphere.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I liked, you know, in typical Doctor fashion, as the lights are going out on different planets. You know, shout out to Scaro, and he was like, "Yep, still sucks though. Like, no more Daleks, but I don't like it. I still don't like it." I was like, "Yeah, that's good. I like that." I thought
they're like his Flanders.
Yeah.
Stupid sexy Daleks.
Great.
The only part of this episode, which I agree is feels like fairly small scale for the most part, but the two scenes where he's hanging out of the TARDIS, like in the vortex and in the galaxy, I was like, yeah, those two bits would have been really cool to see, like in a big on a big screen in a theater.
Ooh,
yeah, because those are the two instances of like big scale stuff that I was
and
like,
big scale acting as well.
Yeah, very true, very true. Yeah. So what did we think about how did you guys feel about the Sutek killing death means bringing everyone alive, making everyone alive solution?
it makes sense on paper, but I think if you squint too hard at it,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
As a Catholic, it checks out.
Yeah.
Go on.
I like that they put the dog on a leash. That was really funny to me.
That was funny. It was a little sad. I felt
It
I had a
was
much
sad.
more brutal. It's like this is kind of like you're like dragging it by your with your truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We saw what happened to those people in Furiosa.
Down a gravel road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny visual though. I love just the visual of him just like gnarled. He looks like something from the Rats of Nim when he's just like clinging to the TARDIS, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so he's just getting dragged through just getting dragged through the
Sutek
time
ain't shit.
vortex.
Drag him, Doctor.
Yeah. And so they're just like killing him like throughout time and space until he just disappears, I guess, and that's bringing everyone alive.
I can go on Twitter now, so I just seconds before recording I saw this really great tweet where it's like, so canonically at some point during the scene in Day of the Doctor, they're like, "No, sir, all 13."
Mm-hmm.
There was just 9 Suteks clinging to each other, like the Umbrella Academy meme. Just like
I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And like one is significantly more humanoid than like others. Like they just get less because they evolved into the dog creature. So it's like an evolutionary chart as well.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So let me think. God, I just realized how stupid that reveal is in Day of the Doctor when Time of the Doctor, the entire plot of Time of the Doctor was like, I'm all out of regenerations. And I was like, you're clearly not.
No, you're not.
He showed up in the last episode.
You saw him. That's funny. You wrote that one.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Let's see. What do we want to do? We want to talk about Flood next or Ruby's mom?
I agree with Norman. Norman made this point on the Discord. I fully think with the snow and her outfit, I believe Mrs. Flood is going to be the villain of Joy to the World.
I don't think so because Moffat is writing Joy to the World, not Russell T Davies, and this feels like Russell T Davies' character. Also,
that's a good point.
She is clearly trolling us because she was wearing Clara's outfit this whole episode, or like a version of the and this is Romana's outfit.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Romana 1. She's wearing the outfit of Romana 1.
Oh my god.
So I kind of want to go back now and be like, is she wearing companion outfits like the whole time? Like, are all of her outfits that she appears in like iterations of like companion outfits?
Whoa.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means, but I think it's a bigger deal than just the Christmas special.
Cass, what do you think?
Well, prior to Scott pointing out that she's wearing now 2 companion outfits, I still think she's like one of those like god figures.
The Legion?
Yeah. But now I'm just like, oh, maybe she's the Ronnie? So
that was my first maybe she's the Ronnie. Let's do it. We're back, baby.
Just circle back. He gets me every time. It's like Charlie Brown in that football.
Absolutely. My first thought too, when she was like, and so ends the story of little Ruby Sunday.
Yeah.
But the Doctor's absolutely fucked, see? And like my first thought was like, oh, is she like the god of stories or the god of dreams because she's talking to us like, she's like telling a fairy tale, which and I was going to say this for the end, but since we are on Mrs. Flood, I don't want to discount that we could be heading towards some sort of new version of Parting of the Ways in a season or 2. or no, the big one. What's the big one called with everybody?
Journey's End.
Journey's End. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that could be where the fairy tale, like, there's I don't think, maybe I enjoyed this because wasn't expecting everything to conclude with this.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think everyone's making good valid points about why it's narratively underwhelming in some aspects, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that she's gonna be a continuous question, maybe even through this entire era. Like maybe we're not gonna learn everything about her until we get to like the end.
Yeah.
Of like 15 and Russell T Davies' new era,
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like the god of storytelling, the fact that people are guessing it this early on says to me that there's like I don't think so.
it's another Susan, like Redding.
Yeah, it feels like that. Yeah, it does. To me, and that doesn't explain why she's wearing companion clothes and stuff like that. But she's clearly something. I assume some kind of god, I guess, because she does say that thing where it's like, tell your god that I'll meet him at his pearly gates and I'll kick his fucking ass.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, he'll know my real name, and then he'll be fucking scared, and I'll pistol whip that bitch. Like that's kind of what her vibe was in that moment. Yeah.
And then when she is revived, she says, that clever boy, or my clever boy.
Uh-huh.
Which is...
I wonder, like, what if she's the doctor's mom?
Love that.
Like, from that other universe that he came from. Like, what if she came over here to, like, find her lost child? And has been like following him and following his adventures this whole time. And that's why she's like cosplaying as companions and stuff, because she's like, hell yeah, I'm his biggest fan.
I don't know. I don't know if this is significant, but in the subtitles, when she was speaking at the end, it wasn't Mrs. Flood, it was narrator. So I don't know.
Ooh, that was her credit. That's cool. That's really cool. Maybe that's her name. Maybe that's her maestro, her toy maker.
Yeah, like the narrator. Like, I'd love that.
That's interesting.
I like the mom thing too. That's really cool because I've never thought about.
Yeah, because and my thought was like, what if because there's been this long rumor of like, oh, like this is all leading to the fact that like the reveal that the Doctor is literally the Lord of Time or something. Like,
oh, he's one of the Horde.
He's one of them.
Oh,
and
that's like his portfolio. Like that's who he is.
Yeah, he's the God of Time,
That's cool.
or the God of Time and Space.
Yeah,
because they even said like you had the Guardians of Time and Space, right? But they're not part of the pantheon,
right?
And so like maybe they were just kind of pinch hitting for the lack of there being a God of Time and Space in the pantheon, like there should be.
Yeah,
and maybe she is his like current, like is the mom, and like
Hera or something.
Yeah,
like, oh,
right.
My son has lost
Hera
his memory.
equivalent.
I have to go wake him up.
Yeah. I gotta get him back in. I gotta. Yeah, he needs to know that he's a god, and yeah, it's time to shake things up. I don't know. I could definitely see that being a thing. Does that make the Doctor too special? It just kind of depends on his reaction to it, I think. Because like if he just like, it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's what I am, but like that doesn't change anything. Like I'm still gonna do what I'm doing now. Then it's like, well, okay, that's interesting, I guess. But I don't know. But it does feel like her being dressed in old companion garb is like pointed in some way. Like you're not going to do that by accident,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway,
the Clara thing is like, you could argue that's just an outfit, but
sure.
Now with the Romana thing, it's like, okay, well now it's a pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Anywho. So Mrs. Flood, I feel like that's going to be an ongoing situation.
Cass, do you kind of feel, what do you err towards Team Joy to the World villain or team like Endgame era, like kind of related?
I think that I would be surprised if she doesn't at least like show up in the Christmas special, like maybe at the end to remind us of her existence. But like I think especially with like Ruby departing, which I have questions about, I feel like that's probably just going to be like a one and like a standalone, like the Titanic one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those fun ones where he's like, "Yeah, I usually have someone, but you know,
Yeah.
I don't." But this was fun.
No. This was fun. This was fun.
Nicola Coughlan, you're great.
Yeah, I had a great time. All right, see you later.
Oh, maybe the snow. Maybe the snow, like the snow around her or whatever. Like maybe we're intended to pick up like or read into the fact that like that was her doing every time. I almost called her Clara. Ruby, like was fixated on that moment. Like maybe this is like this woman's doing instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could be.
Or perhaps like it was like a level hint of Joy to the World, but she is still like the narrator. So she's like, I'm not like the villain of this, but this is kind of a hint of the aesthetic of like, we'll see you at Christmas, you know, because snow.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's true. Yeah. So no answers to Mrs. Flood, but I think lots more questions, which is fun. Okay, let's talk about Ruby's mom. I had to rewind because I almost shit my pants when they're like, her name is Lucille Miller, and I was like, Lucy Miller. I was like, I literally had to rewind. I was like, no fucking way. Then no, just a normal person with a very similar name, unfortunately. But yeah, she's just
that kind of would have been a joke, like just to reinforce the idea. If it's like her name is Rose Tyler, it's like Rose Tyler, yes, Rose Tyler with 2 R's, born in Manchester, like just same name, but like the most ordinary fucking life, but just her name is also Rose Tyler.
Yeah. So I like thematically where this thing's heads at, you know, like I do. I enjoy this. I think it thematically, it touches on a lot of fun Doctor Who themes that are like really, you know, timely and great and all of that. That being said, this doesn't make a lick of sense. Why the fuck was she wearing that whole hooded thing? Why was she pointing ominously at a sign with
like the mother of the mother in Hunchback of Notre Dame in 2005.
Supposedly with her fucking like ominously pointing at a sign to name her daughter where there's no one around to see her do that. Like, what are you like? She did it like she was death itself.
Yes.
So telling Scrooge that it was time, you know, like it just no. I'm sorry.
There's only one explanation, Scott.
Yes.
She's extra.
Yeah.
She's like, if I'm going to abandon my baby, I'm 15. I am going to wear the hood. Like I'm the mother and like and Sweeney Todd. And like, I am going to put Ruby. That's a cool name.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people are now shift. I'm seeing a lot of people now shift like, okay, so the mom's a nobody, but the dad is definitely somebody important then.
No,
and I'm like, I think you guys are missing the whole point of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. I do though wonder if this is bullshit. Like it's too easy and it's not real. Like it is like either she's not a real person at all. And that's going to be the reveal at some point because we know that she's going to be in the next season. That she's just taking a break because she's not going to be in the Christmas special.
Mm-hmm.
But she's in season 2, so clearly she's not done traveling with the Doctor. This was a see you later, not a goodbye forever companion exit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so. I don't know if I trust this lady as like a real person, and I don't know that I just don't know.
Well, Cass, before even getting to like if you think this is real, how did you feel about like did it? You said it was satisfying for you emotionally or narratively?
Yeah, it was, and it like Scott said earlier, it felt like really cozy because like we get like the thesis statement of like Russell T's like philosophy on Doctor Who, which is like, ordinary people are important. And like the doctor like says as much, which was, I was like, oh yeah, like there he is. So, and I liked the moment where the doctor is trying to talk her out of reestablishing this connection, because he himself is like, I'm in this woman's shoes, basically. And it's like, okay, maybe she has her reasons. And then Ruby's like, no, screw you. So I liked that. And I liked that it felt, it's like a warm hug of an ending, like emotionally, but like also like I don't know that it makes any sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is, yeah, it's a hug and it feels like RTD. But it's funny, Scott, like if we do the actually, you aren't a Junkers, your parents didn't sell you for drinking money. You actually are Palpatine's daughter.
I know.
But like there is, I think as we learned from the Sutek, because with Sutek that we did get our little lore treat at the end of like, here's the thing you never thought would come back, and here it is. So like, it wasn't Susan, it wasn't the Ronnie, but it was something.
Yeah.
And so how will the show continue to try keeping that balance? Like, some people on the Discord are speculating Joy to the World could be about Susan closure, because the 15 could be like, wow, that felt really, Ruby seemed like she got a lot out of ending that loop. Maybe I should finally reach out to the old whatever she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that because for Big Finish reasons. But it would discount some really cool stories that you guys will hear eventually. But
Doctor Who Legends.
Yeah, and I really like how it's done in Big Finish, and I don't really know that I want to like discredit those stories. But in any event, I almost wonder, see, it's so funny that you saw that and you were thinking of it in terms of like, oh, I don't know, maybe she has her reasons for like leaving you behind and never contacting you. And my mind actually went the opposite and was like, oh yeah, that's further proving my point to me that Mrs. Flood might be the doctor's mom, of like him being like, I mean, I never tried to like find my parents.
Oh, interesting.
And that's like that's the thematic tie between him and her is that they were both more or less left on a doorstep with no idea who their real parents are.
Yeah.
But they're the opposite. They're kind of the inverse of each other, where, Ruby ultimately is the person to actively go out and find her mother.
Right.
And if Mrs. Flood is the doctor's mom, then she's like, I'm going out and I'm going to find my boy, my special my baby.
Right.
I think it's interesting that the doctor is in like both positions, because like yes, he's a foundling as well, but like he like perpetuated that cycle, like with Susan, just like leaving her, know.
Right. It's also interesting
that boring guy.
That was I think we didn't talk about that last week, but like the reveal that like he has a granddaughter, but he doesn't have
kids yet. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We totally, or the fact that his kids could be in the future.
Right. Exactly. His future. And that means that like Susan came back in time to like meet the youngest version, or as we perceived it at the time.
Yeah,
the youngest version.
What's the safest point of time we could drop her off? Like, well, the first one he was, let's drop her off with that version of grandfather. This is your grandpa, Susan. Yeah, but it's like way in their past before they were even born. Right.
Very weird.
Time lords, man.
I don't know. But it's also the reason.
Sorry, please.
I was gonna say, like, the reason I don't like it is the same reason that I don't like the all 13 thing in Day of the Doctor, because it's like, well, wait a minute. If you haven't had kids yet, but you met your granddaughter, then why were you so fucking worried about the Time War and all these things? Because it's like, well, clearly things have not happened that have happened.
Yeah.
So.
Sure. So maybe that won't be the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he brings it up as a possibility.
Because like there's that scene in I forget what finale it is. It's a Matt Smith finale, and he's like next to the little cradle, and then he has that conversation with Amy about like, oh yeah, I'm a father. And
Right.
like, I'm wondering if the line, like, I've made a jigsaw of your history is doing like a lot of heavy lifting
Yes.
there.
Going back to the giggle.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if this thought just occurred to me. It was like, what if Susan is related to 14's ongoing like life, not 15?
Like at some point, 14 has like a meet cute with someone.
Yeah, like 14 settles down, has kids, they have kids, and that's where Susan comes from.
Huh.
This is your grandfather, Susan.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Or even, eventually 14 does regenerate and we get like, 15B or whatever, however that works with by regenerations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was also thinking that like maybe that's a thing. I don't know. And
I like the idea of going back to one era and just Susan just in her head. She never makes any references, but she knows what chromatica is. Like she's watched the Jinx,
Yeah, she's watched the Jinx.
Well, they're in the 60s because Susan likes the aesthetic of the 60s.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So
You're so cringe, grandfather. What?
going back to whether or not like Ruby's mom is like quote unquote real. I think it was interesting that they went out of their way to talk about how Susan Triad is like a person, regardless of whether like she was like a pawn of Sutex, but like she has a life of her own, and like those still exist.
The god of death created life, as they say in the episode.
Yeah.
Right. That's very true. But I do think that like even if she doesn't end up being like her actual birth mother or whatever, or but it's like that situation where it's like she does exist, she did have a life, all these things are still true even if they're not true. You know?
Memories.
Yeah. But I like the idea that like when she finds that out, it doesn't make her any less of her mom in her eyes. It's almost like she's adopting mothers the way that the mother, she was adopted and now she's like adopting moms. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's something kind of cute about that and feels very like Russell T Davies, like, everybody's
Yeah, I mean, that
friends and
makes
family are the same thing kind of vibes.
That does make me think of that final tableau, that final image we get of Ruby just surrounded with love, even more love than she had before at Christmas. And yeah, I like the idea that she just keeps collecting these mother figures in her life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like that.
So I like Kate sort of accidentally negating the meme that's been going on all week about recruiting children into unit by recruiting Susan Triad. But also it's like, man, Kate is just recruiting people left and right.
She's got a whole building a skyscraper to fill with employees.
Donna's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think she's on assignment, but yeah.
Sure.
I'm surprised that like 14 isn't just their permanent scientific advisor. Like,
Well, what would Morris do?
if he's there anyway, Morris can fuck off.
I like the idea of 14.
Morris can be his assistant.
just
Going
like
15 years old.
I like the idea of 14 just being like adamant that he's retired. Like to the point where he's like the crotchety, like he's like, oh, I'm too old for this, Like I think that's really funny and charming.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting a fax from 14. He's sending us information, and it's just like the middle finger made with like digits.
Yeah. I love the idea of his TARDIS just like sitting in the backyard of like the noble household, like a shed.
Like a
He just,
clothesline,
goes in and he's Uncle 14's in the shed again.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so how do we feel about Susan Triad potentially being like, it made me think of what Scott pointed out last week of like, we never really learn what her iPhone is or like her. So a fun joke would be when we come back of like, hey, what's Susan Triad? Oh, she was a fucking moron, doctor. She had never done anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice girl though. But
nice girl. Or she's just working reception now.
That's so funny.
Hello. Yeah, it turns out I don't know anything. So,
My life,
but I can answer a phone, and I'm quite chipper. Yeah, that's funny. So how do we feel now that the season's over? How do we feel about Series 14?
You mean Series 1?
I refuse to call it that. I'm just not going to do it. I don't. I hate it. And it's Season 1, not series. It's Series 14, Season 1.
That's true. Series 1 is like, who are you talking to at that point?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, how do we feel about it? Like starting with the Christmas special, these 9 episodes, taken as a whole. How are we feeling?
I think I agree with a lot of people in that, like, it felt too short, like the episode count. Like, I almost want there to be, like, even just one more.
Yeah.
For, like, around 10.
Yeah. Well, but then you get in that weird. The Christmas special always throws everything off.
I guess.
That's why 13 or 12 or 13 episodes were always the perfect number, because it was like, oh yeah, you have 12 episodes, then you have 13 total, which feels like a round number.
Yeah.
Even though it's not.
Yeah.
And then
or like a season of television. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
13.
right.
Yeah,
and then but then you have 13 episodes and then 14. That also is like, okay, well, I mean, that's nice enough. I like that. But yeah, 9 feels weird. Yeah, 9 and then plus 1 feels weird. 11 feels weird. Yeah. You'd have to get up to 12, I guess. But that feels weird too, because then the season would be 11 episodes. See, there's no winning.
Just cancel the show.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think I wish there were more episodes. I really do. I think the peak TV budget is kind of harming everything, unfortunately. And narratively, I've seen a lot of people where they're like, "Oh, I wish these episodes were like 15 to 20 minutes longer." I was like, "That's not what it needs."
No, it needs another like full episode. Yeah.
At least one more, if not like 2 or 3 more, I would say. Because it just doesn't feel like enough. I don't feel satiated by this season. Nick, how do you feel?
Well, that makes me think of, with the ratings. We're in this interesting pool where they're killing it in the demographic they set out to win, which is like the youth,
the next generation,
if you factor the next generation. But the ratings, it's not the Mandalorian, right? It's not X-Men 97, maybe. We don't know about Disney Plus or whatever. And BBC ratings haven't been that great. So basically, that's all that to say. We don't know if the budget is going to stay where it was this season going forward.
Well, we do know at least to season 2, because they've already finished it.
Got it.
Yeah. So they're starting season 3 soon.
That's so wild.
Yeah. So that's where the changes, any budget changes would be happening.
Because like
season 3.
Yeah, maybe that could be some way to like, okay, yeah, we have a lesser budget, but we could like make more cheaper episodes or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, no, please. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, or they'll just keep it at 8 and just make the episodes worse.
Just the worst of both.
Know.
Yeah. Or that too. Yeah. I had so much fun this season. Just the ride of watching it with you guys and the listeners and the community, like I guess every fandom has negative stuff if you look for it on social media, but I had so much fun. It felt like more people were talking about and engaging with the show than since like when I was in college during like the Matt Smith run of the show. And that was fun. Really fun. So, could have used more. A couple of like absolute banger home runs, but mostly like fun kind of mixed episodes that we all sort of had different opinions on. And like, I'd be interesting, like, if we rank these where that would be, of like, I can't think of an episode where I left being like, well, that was just a waste of my time and like waste of space on the show.
Right.
Which is a really fun place to be at coming out of the last few years of being a Whovian.
Yeah. Oh man. Now I kind of want to rank the episodes a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, are we all in agreement that Rogue was the best episode?
Yes.
I mean,
I think
yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think
definitely
so,
my
right?
favorite. And I think
Yeah.
that's what this season is missing, because like I don't think that like Russell T knows how to write like abbreviated Doctor Who seasons, you know? Like cuz he's like, "Oh, okay, well I got to do the premiere and I got to do like this, I got to like do the plot and I got to do the two-parter." But then that leaves like so little space for
Right.
other
Other people.
like writers.
Right. Which is why I assume he's not writing the Christmas special.
Christmas
this year,
special,
'cause
yeah.
he's like, I gotta give somewhere, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be curious what that looks like next season, if that's just this season, because if I remember correctly, he also wrote a shitload of episodes in series 1 back in the day. Like the Eccleston season, I think he wrote like more than half of those episodes, if I remember correctly.
Because it's like the first two, and then we have the Dickens episode, and then the Slitheen two-parter is his, and then like the long
Dalek?
game is his, and then
Dalek is not his, and then
Dalek
the
is not
two-part
his.
finale is his.
and then it's because
Is that it?
Boomtown is also
and
his.
Boomtown, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he wrote like 3/4 of that season.
Yeah.
So I'm
Cool.
wondering if this is more like him setting the stage of like, this is what I want the show to feel like, before like next season maybe he only writes the premiere and the finale and that's it. That would be great. I would love that.
And they haven't revealed the season 2 writers yet.
No.
Okay.
No, we probably won't get that until probably post Christmas would be my guess. Because we have been promised the next time trailer at the end of the Christmas special again.
Ooh, yay!
So that'll be our first like tease of season 2, which is exciting. But yeah, I agree. I think that is what needs to happen. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I think I'm.
Let me get them all in front of me.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm Rogue, Boom, 73 Yards, Dot and Bubble, Finale, Space Babies, Church on Ruby Road, Devil's Cord, dead last, unfortunately for me. But that doesn't mean that like the episode's bad. I think all of the episodes are pretty. I don't think there was a bad episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
That's
like
the
this
thing.
is the order that I liked them in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Cass, do you want to go?
I don't know that I can rank all of them. I know like my top 3 are Rogue, Dot and Bubble, and 73 Yards.
Okay. I think I'm going to go Boom at the bottom, then
Ooh.
Empire of Death, then Legend of Ruby. No, yeah, then Legend of Ruby Sunday. Then Church on Ruby Road. No, yeah. Oh, fuck. I'm already, yeah. Church on Ruby Road fucks it up. Then I guess it would be Devil's Cord, then Dot and Bubble, and then we're entering top territory where I think it would be 73 Yards, Space Babies, and then Rogue at the top. I think that's all of them.
Top
Interesting.
3 for Space Babies.
I love those Space Babies, Scott.
I thought you were gonna forget Space Babies. And
Oh,
you're
that's
like, no,
funny.
top 3, baby.
I like the one who likes Ruby.
Yeah. I think that's the
One
one
of-
that was gonna be played by Segway Kid before he got bumped up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Morris to a machine gun touting 13-year-old alien
Super
murderer.
scientist.
Super
yeah.
scientist. He's very Wade from Kim Possible, Morris.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does he have any dialogue in this episode?
Not.
I feel like he just eats a slice of pizza, and shoots his machine gun Segway, and that's
Oh, he has a
it.
couple of like the thing's doing this,
Okay.
like I'm doing the coordinates.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. All I can remember was him goofily eating that pizza in that weird fucking upshot close up.
I know exactly. Yeah, I can picture it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why are we cutting to this?
But like again, like Boom's at the bottom, which is probably like, but that's a solid episode. That's
Yeah.
like a really solid episode. But it's just like the one that I probably fuck with the least out of like all of them.
Right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, that's like my second favorite or third favorite, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's something for everyone this
Yeah.
season. But I feel like I don't know that anyone I don't know that I've seen anyone be completely satisfied with this season. I feel like everyone feels like there's a little too much left on the field, so to speak.
Or some missed opportunities.
Yeah, where everyone is just sort of like, I wish there was just a little bit more. Yeah.
I hope that to some extent, I don't think writers or creative should be online or listening to the fandom too much. But the fact that the most unanimously loved episode of the series, from my vantage point, appears to be Rogue. Like, I hope that's a sign of like, oh, I think maybe we can like maybe wean off of like the nostalgia and like legacy of it all. And there obviously is kind of a hunger for the show to go into new directions with new talent. Like, let's find a fun way to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm almost wondering if this, with this season being so, every episode being so different, vibes wise, I almost wonder if it's like a little bit of like a like a beer flight, of a season.
Yeah.
Like a sampler platter. Yeah.
Where Russell T Davies is just like, okay, what do you guys like? Okay, you like that one? Great. Okay, I'll make sure we get more of that flavor in there. Oh, you don't like that one? Okay. All right. So less of that, and just kind of figuring out what people are into so that he can write toward that going forward.
That's because it's like, okay, they weren't Space Babies Devil's Cord. That ended up being a little bit more divisive than I was planning on. Like,
right.
Okay.
That one, I don't know what you do with Devil's Cord, because Devil's Cord is either people's least favorite episode of the season, or for many, like top two, so many people are like, yeah, that's my favorite episode of the season. And I'm like, I don't know what show you guys want. Like, I'm baffled by that.
I think because I didn't rank them. I don't know. Like, I respect Devil's Cord because like they go so hard trying new things, And I really liked Jinx Monsoon's performance. So like I want to see more of her.
Sure.
But it's I don't know. I respect it. It wasn't like my favorite, but I didn't hate it,
You know what I want to see? I want to see Jinx Monsoon return in the same episode where Rogue returns.
Shut up.
Oh man.
That's what I want.
Nice.
I want all of that together. All that, all those vibes.
That feels like
together.
A Disney animated class, like Rogue and the Doctor and the squaring off against Maestro is like this Maleficent kind of. That's great.
Yeah. And fuck it, make it a Christmas special. On top of all of that, let's
like I have Rogue frozen in a tower and you have to come rescue him.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. And to do it, you have to turn the episode into a musical. Like there's
Ooh.
I'm bored, Doctor. Make me a musical. Sing me a song.
Make this a Disney musical, Disney style musical on Disney Plus. Turns the camera, winks.
That's good.
And it's like, it's a total like Rogue is like a
kind of Q-ish.
Away in a totally.
Dazzling Rogue, yeah.
But music specific, I guess. Man.
And then he can break out like Prince Philip in Sleeping Beauty. Like he does get to kind of do, like he gets to fight a dragon or do something fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that bleeds into. I had a question for both of you as we wrap up because I have a feeling this might have an easy answer, and I'm just like not looking at it. But so can we assume that the thing we've been talking about this whole season is like fantasy, the Doctor dealing with fantasy and magic and make believe?
Mm-hmm.
So are we to conclude that we can even tie in like the goblins to Sutek?
Well,
is that resolved?
No, I don't think that's resolved because I think my feeling personally is that because when was Mrs. Flood was introduced in
that Christmas special,
Church
right?
on Ruby Road.
Yeah, so I wonder if like the god stuff, they all became like more, the Pantheon became more empowered because of what 14 and Donna did at the edge of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And like with making the salt thing, all of that stuff, making superstition real. I don't know that I think that gave all the gods so much power and allowed them to sort of like bust out of wherever they were and start like taking control of the universe again in a meaningful way.
Okay.
And I just wonder if this is like a if this is just like the start of all of that, because I just feel like you get to the end of this episode with Flood, and it doesn't feel like any of that is over, because it just feels like she's like sort of like, and that's the story of Ruby Sunday, and now we have more stories to tell. Like it's just very.
Right.
It all feels very like no, we're still
Unresolved.
going down this road with the magic and the
This Ruby road.
superstition and the legends and the stories and all that stuff.
I'm wondering if her kind of narrating at the end is supposed to tie back to Space Babies, where the Doctor talks about fairy tales
And I would need them.
Oh,
and
We
like the
need the
importance
scary
of them.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Another
For the
reason
record,
I
I
really
would-
like that episode. Nick, you're right. Space Babies is great.
Space Babies is great. In that spirit, Scott, I would like to change my ranking. I would like to change my bottom ranking. I think it goes, and again, these are all fun episodes, but I think it does go Empire of Death, Legend of Ruby Sunday, and then boom.
Yeah.
I don't feel right putting those two above boom.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. No, I don't. So I don't think any of that is over. I think we're going to still be dealing with that. I think during this whole era, I feel like it's going to be the thing that
The magic
15's
era.
era is like known for. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be about this stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, not to speculate too much, Scott, but like you said something that just kind of like it pinged my brain of like when Nchuti-Gatwa and RTD's era ends, and I was like, oh, do we know that? Has he said like I have known I'm going to leave when Nchuti leaves. I'm going to leave when 14 regenerates.
No, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no date. I just assume eventually they'll leave, right?
Right. Yeah. Like would he have interest in 16 or 15?
Right. I don't know. I guess it less is about him and more about like, does BBC have like a worthy successor? Because I think they learned their lesson with Chibnall that they just can't give the show to anybody. Sorry. Joe.
No. Yeah.
We respect we respect your era, even if it's a mixed bag. Yeah. So I just don't know. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
But for now, we know they're on at least for 3 seasons. So
That's all we need.
yeah, we know that for sure. That's about all we know right now. Yeah. I felt like I had something else to say about the story thing, and now I don't remember what brought that up. What made you bring that up again?
We were talking about the
Oh, the goblins.
the goblins
Yeah.
and like it's magic and fairy tales and like
Right.
I made the connection back to Space Babies.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was thinking about. I remember the other thing that I wanted to bring up. Actually, it's vaguely related to that. But,
Okay.
like, the memory TARDIS, which apparently has been the TARDIS that has been in all of the new scenes in the show that we don't have access to.
Oh, the Tales of the TARDIS. I did
Yeah.
watch that. That is the set that they were in. Yeah.
Yes, but
Oh.
it's all of them because they're all in the time of Sutek. Like,
Whoa.
so they're all in different memory TARDISes throughout time, all of them. So it's like, Five and Tegan, and then the so yeah, like all of those scenes are all set in the memory TARDIS.
That's cool.
Yeah, which now we know is because of Sutek, and they're all feeling those effects. I did want to just mention all of the episodes that were covered in Tales of the
please.
TARDIS, just because I think that there's some stuff in here that we should play around with or think about. So obviously the most recent one, Pyramids of Mars, clearly we know why that was. Curse of Fenric,
Hey.
that was one. The Three
Because of the
Doctors
Gods
was one.
thing, right?
What's that?
Because of the gods thing, right?
Right,
Curse
the
of
Gods
Fenric?
thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Gods, Curse of Fenric, time the three doctors, Omega.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, so let's
Cross
I
your
don't know.
fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, let's highlight that. The time meddler, meddling monk.
Nice.
Could be maybe that's I've heard people suggest that maybe that's who Mrs. Flood is.
Oh.
That she could be the monk.
I think on this podcast someone mentioned the meddling monk recently.
Yeah, I don't know that we did in
connection to her, but yeah,
to
we've
her
been talking about
specifically.
him.
But yeah, we definitely brought up the meddling monk. Vengeance on Varos, which but it's also it is about media and audiences
That's
watching.
true.
Dot and Bubble.
Yeah, watching something. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Very, very true. Yeah. So, it's like a reality television riff before that was even a thing, really.
Yeah.
I guess we had game shows, which is kind of more so what they're riffing on in that. And then last, but certainly not least, maybe most importantly, Cass, the last one, is the mind robber.
Nice.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. Nick, we haven't watched The Mind Robber on the show yet.
That's your favorite
but
one, right, Scott?
It is my favorite. It's my favorite second Doctor story, and it's definitely like in classic Who. It's like in top 3 for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's up there with like Brain of Morbius and Caves of Androzani as like my favorite all-time classic Who stories. So,
yeah, that brain was so angry.
He sure was. He sure was.
Wacky cult leader.
But yeah, looking at all of those, there is like there's some interesting like recurring themes happening in there between gods and stories and audience.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
Which is really interesting. So I don't know, we're thinking about. And Earthshock. That was the other one that they also did.
Oh, poor Adric.
Yeah. Poor dinosaurs.
We all know why.
Fuck Adric.
Yeah, Cass, come on.
Oh man. Anyway, we were Bethany and I were so hoping that his badge would show up in the memory TARDIS.
Memory TARDIS.
his little his sheriff badge.
And the doctor's like, this is and then he like shoves it into a thing and uses it as like a conductor.
Anyway.
I have a dumb little nerd thing that I would like to see next season.
Sure.
You know that thing, in the opening with 7 where it's Sylvester McCoy and then he like winks?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be fun to bring that back with 14. Just like
yeah.
Face credits again?
The face credits? Yeah.
The face credits where he's looking serious and then the next frame is he like breaks out into that classic, 14 smile.
I'm actually a clown.
Just kidding, I'm nice.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think that's fun. I don't know. Rusty, I don't think likes those though, unfortunately, because he hasn't done them yet in any of his stuff.
Yeah, we only had face credits with Capaldi, right? Briefly.
The eyes, yeah.
Is that it? Oh, okay.
I think so.
I can't think of another time when they've done it in the modern time.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it was just Capaldi. Huh. Wow. Well, I like them.
Well,
they're silly.
Yeah. And this feels like that kind of vibe that we're going for.
Yeah, I think it would be fun. All right, well.
A fun Odyssey, gentlemen. A fun
Yeah.
journey through time and space.
Indeed. So next up, we will be back to talk about The Long Way Around Season 11. Guess what, everybody? We already recorded it. It's all done.
Woo.
It's
Just like
scheduled.
season 2 of
Yeah, our first
that's right.
our first episode back will be July 7th. So we are taking like 2 weeks off. I would generally just accept that there will probably be 2 weeks off between each like kind of segment of us doing stuff. But so we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about the Dalek invasion of Earth. Remember that one, guys?
Susan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Susan.
Hey.
Susan.
Whoa, guys, we did so good. Look how well we planned that.
Yeah. Yes, we certainly planned that. It's not just because it's the first Doctor and that's where she is. But yeah, Dalek Invasion of Earth. We have The Enemy of the World, Curse of Peladon, Seeds of Doom, Terminus, The Holy Terror, which is a Sixth Doctor Big Finish story with a penguin, talking penguin. Curse of Fenric. For the Eighth Doctor, we do Neverland and Zagreus. Over 6.5 hours of stuff discussed, and I think is a pretty darn good episode of this show. And if you guys don't want to listen to those, we don't blame you. Just listen to our episode instead. We go through everything. It'll be fine. And then we have in New Who, no more Ninth Doctor, so we're going straight to The Runaway Bride, A Christmas Carol, and Time Heist. So overall, a very, very solid episode or season of The Long Way Around, coming to you starting July 7th. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks with Dalek Invasion of Earth. Bye, everybody.